always say, every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you.
The public service is the main vehicle through which governments achieve their set objectives. Its functions include the formulation and implementation of government policies, advising the political class, storage of government information, collection and keeping of government funds, ensuring continuity of government, and rendering of routine services. What this means is that no matter how good the government policies are, if they do not enjoin the cooperation of public servants, governments will not achieve their mandate, including the fight against corruption. Welcome to Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. Our special edition today is on the Nigerian worker and the fight against corruption. I am Hawa Sani Garba, your host for today's edition. First, let's join Ruth Awodi with details of anti-corruption stories. Over to you, Ruth.
I am Ruth Awodi with Anti-Corruption Stories. ICPC has held a one-day retreat for the newly inaugurated board members to enlighten them on the challenges and expectations of their new assignment. Speaking at the retreat, which held at the Commission's boardroom, ICPC Chairman Professor Bolaji Owasonye said the retreat was a tradition of the Commission which other members also went through when they came in.
First, let me again welcome the new board members. We welcome you. But this is still the season of, if I may use the word, orientation. When the board was inaugurated in February 2019, comprising 9 of us, the first thing we did was to have a retreat, to have an understanding of the challenges and the expectation of the law and of the public of us. So there really wasn't room for celebration, but rather room for introspection about what would be demanded. That activity took place in Kefi, in the Anti-Corruption Academy, for 2 days. And similar to what we will be crunching into one day, I would say that it was very beneficial to us as board members who are coming in. And at that time, I had requested the assistance of my predecessor in office, Honorable Ekwonta, to facilitate one of the sessions, and the session was invaluable. And so when the supplementary board members were announced, I already made up my mind that you should not be denied the advantage and the benefit of what we learned, which helped us to settle in, helped to manage expectations, helped to minimize the potential for conflict and misunderstanding, and also help people to understand the structure that the ICPC had. So this is the purpose and the basis for the conversation that we hope to have as we devoted today.
Delivering a paper titled ICPC Mandate, the role of the chairman and board members, the Chairman National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission, Mr. Ekpo Unta, highlighted some of the reasons boards are set up in organizations to include setting out roadmaps and ensuring that the right personnel are hired to achieve the roadmaps, providing resources to achieve goals, constantly monitoring implementation performance and timelines, and making adjustments where necessary to ensure that corporate standards are met, justifying stakeholders' confidence amongst others. Mr. Nta, who is the immediate past chairman of ICPC, stated that the essence of bringing the chairman and board members from different organizations and backgrounds was for them to bring their varied wealth of experiences to bear in achieving the mandate of the Commission.
One very critical point I would like you all to know is that you all come from political zones, right? You were selected on the basis of experience, profession, but within geopolitical zones. It ends immediately after you have been sworn in. The day you step into this commission, all that geopolitical representation ends. You now become a federal, I don't know which word to use. I don't want to use a federal person. Here you are no longer representing. If an investigation is going on and it emanates from your geopolitical zone, the immediate thing that will happen is that persons from your geopolitical zone will say, our person is there, let's go and meet that board member and see how he can intervene on our behalf. The moment you fall into that trap, that's the beginning of your problem within this commission.
He finally reminded the board members that they are not in the commission to represent only their geopolitical zones or constituencies, but the interest of the entire country by working closely with the chairman and staff of ICPC to stamp out corruption in Nigeria. The retreat featured presentations on the Code of Conduct for Public Officers, ICPC structure, mandate and performance scorecard. In another development, ICPC has reiterated its commitment to tackle corruption at the Nigerian ports. The ICPC chairman, Professor Bolaji Owasonye, SAN, disclosed this when the executive secretary and CEO of Nigerian Shippers Council, NSC, Right Honorable Emmanuel Jime, paid him a courtesy visit in the commission recently. During the visit, Professor Owasonye noted that while Nigeria had the capability to realize and sustain a robust economy, its biggest challenge was its inability to block economic leakages. He said that Nigeria's economy is bleeding from the high level of corruption and corrupt activities taking place in the ports, which led to the reputational damage of the country, adding that foreign investors no longer have interest in investing in the country, rather prefer investing in neighboring countries.
As you know, the ICPC's threefold mandate is enforcement, prevention, and of course public education, to summarize it in those three words. And because prevention has a greater value, both for development, for efforts in whatever you're doing, I think that the measures that we take to prevent infractions are very important, and those measures can gain ground when it is based on collaborative efforts. So we're quite delighted to be able to work with you. I'm also aware that the improvements that you have mentioned are not notional. The representative of MACN were in this office, I cannot remember, maybe about a month ago, to also express their own delight that some things have improved. Indeed, the meeting in the UK, which is next week, I think, is designed to also reflect on all of these developments and how things can improve better. I see that the Shippers Council, of course, is very prominent on the agenda. We've been invited to speak as well. We'll be happy to explore how things can improve, because it's in the interest of the economy and the governance structure for agencies in the country. We are willing to continue to collaborate with you in pragmatic ways. Where I don't know whether NSC is underfunded. You generate a lot of revenue, so I don't think you have any complaint about our revenue shortfalls. We are underfunded in terms of the potential and the size and enormity of our problem. Having said that, I would admit that this government has significantly improved the resourcing of ICPC under this fourth board. It's much better than it was before. Yet, it remains inadequate. Now that is apparent and obvious, is to be expected, because the challenges are simply mind-boggling. We try as much as possible to balance the need for us to act with integrity. We don't want, as law enforcement, that if we work with Shippers Council, that Shippers Council will fund the operations of my staff. It can also lead to compromise and other unanticipated consequences. So we try to avoid. So that forces us to limit and review what we can take on at any point in time. We don't want to bite more than we can chew. So you have the commitment of the ICPC under my watch to continue to provide support.
Owasonye therefore maintained that the collaboration of both agencies would be in pragmatic ways and assured of the Commission's readiness to explore best ways to curb corrupt practices at the Nigerian ports and other agencies that would need the Commission's partnership. Earlier in his address, the Executive Secretary CEO of NSC, Right Honorable Emmanuel Jime, expressed his gratitude to ICPC for its collaborative support in the fight against corruption at the ports, which has improved the economic growth and development of the country.
I may be new here, but I'm very reliably informed, sir, that the ICPC took a particular interest in what was happening in our ports, and of course decided, rightly so, to align with the implementation of the Port Processes Manual. In doing this, there was a need to then have a team in place that would actually oversee and to monitor the implementation of the Port Process Manual. And under your guidance, therefore, a task team was established. We come here today, sir, as lead agency that is implementing the Port Processes Manual to brief you and to inform you as to the journey so far, particularly so that we can have a clear picture of where we are at, where, of course, are we also hoping to be going with the efforts. So the first thing I would like to inform you, sir, is that this assignment, as you know, commenced with the joint boarding of vessels. That is activities where the task team has now ensured that all government agencies adhere to the provisions of the manual by enforcing zero tolerance on gratification in cash and souvenirs. We also, using this task team, can claim to be able to facilitate quicker turnaround time of vessels, and this has actually resulted to cost reduction and of course recovery of huge sums of monies.
He, however, requested for direct attachment of ICPC personnel to the Special Intervention Task Force to carry out investigations and other operational activities that would enhance the enforcement drive against corruption at the ports. That will be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues with Hawa. Stay with us.
Welcome back. This is Corruption Must Go. The Nigerian Labour Union, Trade Union Congress and other workers' unions are known to have played very critical roles in the history of Nigeria, sometimes leading nationwide protests against draconian and anti-people government policies to better the welfare of the Nigerian workers. The ICPC and other anti-corruption agencies are also known to have put strategies and programs in place to fight corruption and institutionalize integrity in the public service. The question is, what can workers in government institutions do to help rid Nigeria of corruption and entrench integrity and transparency in the public service? Corruption Must Go spoke to officials of the Nigeria Labour Congress on what workers can do to fight corruption.
At the level of NLC, we have made the issue of fight against corruption a priority for obvious reasons. Because one, is a societal ill that all well-meaning Nigerians must support the fight against corruption, because it is the reason why we have not been able to develop to where we are. And therefore, clearly, it's a priority for us. And that's why we have been able to carry out a lot of activities, including sensitization of our members. And therefore, that is also the reason why we have had about 2-3 national rallies to canvass for issues of good governance, but importantly, to continue to make sure that workers are on the same page in fighting the issue of corruption. Well, we have been part and parcel of the engagement, particularly by the Presidential Committee on Fighting Corruption, the Professor Sage Committee. Even 2 days ago, we had a validation program. We have worked with them assiduously. We have also worked with the civil society group. We have worked with agencies like ICPC and EFCC. And you can see that in most of the activities of EFCC, including rallies, NLC have been at the forefront. This is because of our firm belief that it's a fight that all of us, all Nigerians, must actually be on the same page. It's not about somebody's fight. No, it's our fight. Because at the end of the day, we will be the people at the receiving end. So clearly speaking, we have had many activities, and symbolically, you are aware, which I wanted to repeat, we had 3 national rallies. NLC and Organized Labour is the only organization that have actually gone that far. In fact, we had national rallies canvassing for good governance and also to support the fight against corruption, because of the fact that, as I said, it's a priority to all of us and it's a priority to workers. In most cases, the decay in our system is not because Nigeria is in lack of resources. No, we have enormous resources. If you look at the number of abandoned projects across the length and breadth of this country, from the inception of democracy today, it's so monumental. In fact, in most cases, it cannot be quantified. And this can be traceable to cases of corruption where people are paid money, they mobilize to site, and once there is no follow-up, they abandon the project, and the money is eaten up. So clearly speaking, is the reason why we thought that we should be able to support the fight. And we have also tried to engage the legislatures and importantly also the executive, because our rally went to the National Assembly. We canvassed for some laws. One, we want speedy prosecution of all cases of corruption. We have cases that have lasted for 15, 16 years. It doesn't all go well for the system. Why is it that elsewhere outside the country, you get quick dispensation of justice on corruption cases, but here at home, The cases are over-delayed, and in most cases, they are allowed to die naturally. So we have also canvassed for stiffer penalties. NLC is the first organization to actually call for capital punishment, because what they are doing is also killing people silently. Corruption have been used to make sure that people don't get quality healthcare services in our hospitals. Corruption have sent many out of school, and therefore, if they have sent people early to their early graves, I don't see any reason why we cannot also say that cases of corruption, especially people that are stealing beyond what they can even quantify. If somebody steals 10 billion, I don't see why he cannot actually be sent on a life imprisonment or a capital punishment. It happens elsewhere.
At this juncture, it is important to note that the public service can only achieve success in the struggle against corruption if the workers themselves also resolve to participate. It is in view of this that our Corruption Must Go crew sought to know from some workers what personal contributions they have made or they can make to the country's anti-corruption campaign.
As a Nigerian worker, I work with youth, I work with the NYSC. So I try as much as possible to work with integrity. I know that I'm a role model to many of the youth that I work with. So I work with integrity. I make sure I don't do what I know is not right. I know they're looking up to me. I know that I'm a role model. So I try to show good example in all that I do. And secondly, when we meet with core members, I talk to them every week, talk to them about the policies of Nigeria and the things that they need to do, what is expected of them as youth in Nigeria. I expect NLC to work in harmony with the Nigerian government. I expect them to be open to dialogue. I don't expect all the time that we go into industrial actions, but dialogue is always the key. And I expect that they will toe that path and everything will go on well for us.
When we're talking of work ethics, how disciplined are you when it comes to coming in time to work? Because if really you don't keep to time, there's already an indisciplined aspect that can lead to anomy in civil service. Apart from that, there is also what we call cross-checking some of these facts. For example, I want to talk of news. If, for example, there's a wild allegation against someone, we go deep inside to investigate to see whether it is true, and when it is true, honestly, we bring it to public domain. And so, and in particular, I've been also someone who indeed will say I abhor what you call corruption in the civil service, because corruption in civil service is the reason why we don't have good roads. Corruption in civil service is the reason why we don't have good hospitals. Education is down the drain. People embezzle this money, and as a journalist, I ensure that we expose these people, and of course we ensure that people are held to account for their actions and inactions.
I want the best for Nigeria, and I know I have a part to play, because I know that corruption is not limited to stealing government money and all of that. Corruption is rooted in everything we do and say, and so I would work to avoid anything that would undermine the goodness of this nation, from the minutest details of doing what I know is right to do, going where I know is right to go, and embracing things that would perhaps make the Nigerian goods, or anything like that that would help promote the greatness of Nigeria.
The issue of corruption is widespread. ICPC is deploying every means to get rid of corruption from both the public and private lives of Nigerians. Join ICPC every Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. as you watch Corruption Must Go. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission. From the contributions of workers spoken with, It is clear that government workers are resolved and can play their role successfully to ensure that corruption is brought to its knees. ICPC, on its part, has been building the capacity of public servants through seminars, lectures, and especially the establishment of anti-corruption and transparency units in ministries, departments, and agencies to serve as eyes and ears of the Commission. Join ICPC in the fight against corruption. Visit our website www.icpc.gov.ng to make your reports, enquiries, and suggestions, and also become updated on the activities of ICPC. You can also reach us via our toll-free numbers as shown on the screen. Thank you for watching. See you again same time next week.